Lightning of layer 3. I'm not Vanya anymore, so I'm the new MC for the afternoon now. The next guest, really interesting, Jordi, is talking about L402. They combine the power of the HTTP protocol with the power of the Lightning Network. Really interesting, looking forward to it. Please welcome Jordi, everyone.
Excellent. I think that we need a cable here. Perfecto. Gracias. Excellent. So welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about the L402 that I think that it's a really good idea, an old one, and it's finally its time has come. So just a bit of my background. I used to work at Lightning Labs, developing the Lightning Network and many of the other projects like Pool, Aperture, Taproot Assets, etc. As a small thing, someone else was talking before about how to contribute to open source. And a really good way to do it is also joining a company that has a lot of open source on it. And Lightning Lab is one of them, especially if you are into the Lightning Network. However, I had a lot of fun. I'm an engineer. We are doing infrastructure there. And I truly believe that we were like living in the future. We were like creating a lot of nice infrastructure and tech for it. 1 year ago, I left for creating my company, that it's Fewsats. Why did I leave? Again, like I love that job, so it was really hard for me to say, like, well, let's move to the next thing. And the main thing that made me leave is that I thought that we could do better as an ecosystem in general. Like we were doing a lot of infrastructure, and I didn't see enough applications picking up from the other side. So I was like, okay, so I think that I can contribute on that, and I prefer to do infrastructure, but I think that there is a lot of things that are underused here, so I'm going to start using them from the other side. However, what really burns me is not that we can do better as an ecosystem, that we are doing already pretty well, is that we can do better than fiat. Something that was really impressive for me is that we finally have magic internet money. So we have money as data. And most of us, when we got into this new kind of paradigm, started trying to replicate what fiat excels at. So we saw that people use credit cards for paying, and people said, like, okay, so I'm going to do the same for Bitcoin. So we are trying to do things like, well, they tap into some kind of point of sale. We don't have enough money to give away machines as point of sale. So what we do is like we create a QR and let people pay for their coffee or something like this. However, I truly believe that there was some idea that was bigger than that. Now that we have internet magic money, why aren't we using it for the internet? And I truly think that we can do better than fiat if we think about it from first principles. So we finally have peer-to-peer money that anyone has access to. We have it digitally native, so we can move it as data over the internet. And the missing piece was a payment network, and now we have one. Like we really have something that can scale and people can pay to each other. So we should be able to build things that fiat cannot replicate and excel at it. And people actually joining, not because only they want to use Bitcoin for paying for something, but actually saying like, well, this is really cool and cannot be replicated from the other side. Then fiat also has some trade-offs that make it hard to be used on the internet. And it's that it was an afterthought. When people developed the internet and the HTTP protocol, that is basically the backbone of the internet, or the most of how the packets move there, everyone thought like, yeah, of course, there's going to be a way to pay off the internet in the 90s, but we don't know which one yet. So they accounted for it and put one error code in there that it's a 402, that it's signaling payment required. So they saw clearly that there was going to be this big mash of systems where one client was going to be asking a server to process some request, and the server was going to signal like, sorry, if you want me to do this work for you, you actually need to pay. And then the client was going to have some way to natively pay on the internet. However, they didn't know how, so they just put it there, and it's like, okay, this is some reserved code. And until today, nobody has been utilizing it. And that's because, meanwhile the internet was developing, current payment networks like Visa and MasterCard saw a huge opportunity. They saw that, well, they already have a lot of network effects. They know that many of their clients had some way to pay in their networks. And they know that many of the merchants know how to get paid in their networks. Visa is a five-sided network, and it works with issuers and acquirers. And it's like the only thing that we need to do is put some new issuer that is going to take credit cards from the clients, like the users on the browser that they want to do something, and we just need to expose the merchants to this and do it through our own process. So it was an afterthought that was just attached there, and you can see that because it's a crazy new flow. You basically have a server, and you're like, okay, do you want to receive a payment? Integrate with a third party and give control to that third party for the payment. Just go to their pages because they are the only ones that can actually access the payment flow. And that's how Red Seas and companies like Stripe basically were able to make a lot of money because they said, like, okay, we're going to make this easy for companies over the internet. Now, at Lightning Labs, they invented something called the L402 protocol, and I truly saw it as a game changer. It has been in production for years for internal products, and most of the things like Loop and Pool use it by default. But it has like two really good ideas. The first one is that it's machine friendly. So right now, payments over the internet, actually what they say is like, well, I want to get paid. I'm going to give control over the payment to a third-party application. That third-party application is going to somehow charge the user. I don't care if they use like credit card or some gift card or whatever. And then it's going to signal me like, oh, sorry, this person already paid, and I'm going to trust them. And eventually, money is going to appear in my bank account. How the client ends up paying, it's actually through the browser. They needed some way to give that data. And it's browser-based. Like they have to take their credit card or whatever method of payment and do something there. What the L402 does, it puts it in the flow using this HTTP error, and it also allows any client A to pay any service fee on the internet without having to pre-configure anything. So there is not this need anymore of saying, like, let's send the user somewhere on a web page where we can capture their payment details so they can send us money. Now, what kind of things can we build if we have this kind of technology? I'm going to show you two really different examples that leverage this kind of technology and trade-offs. They look really different, but again, like think that they are made using the same technology. The first one is called Blockbuster. By the way, I don't know if you saw any live demo today fail, but if not, happy to be the first one today. So this is a service for uploading a video. Random video for adopting Bitcoin. Video. I hope you enjoy this demo. We're going to put a price on it. For example, let's not be cheap. Let's put $1 US. We can then create a thumbnail. We can upload the video. Then what happens here is we upload the video, and what we get in return is some kind of a specific URI that it's using the L402 protocol. In this case, it's this one here. Of course, if I try to open this in my browser, the browser says like, oh, sorry, I don't know how to deal with L402 stuff. If I go to places like Twitter and Warpcast, that it's a copy of Twitter, or even better, like Primal. After all, we are in a Bitcoin and Nostr conference. So if I paste my node here, and the same for, let's do it here in Twitter or x.com, the same thing happens. For these applications, this is just text. So they're saying like, well, we are signaling there that this is an L402, that is this thing for payments over the internet, but they don't know what to do with it. However, if we copy this link and we open them in Chrome, I built an extension that it's this one here that basically says like, listen, whenever you see an L402 URI, please fetch information about what this service is. So if we go here and open the same link in x.com, what I see is not simply text, but actually the protocol allows to fetch data about what this is. Like this is basically signaling, hey, application, this is something that you can integrate with if you want. So it's able to fetch metadata. In this case, it's a random video for adopting Bitcoin. I hope you enjoyed this demo, and it costs $1. Then this application, in this case, this could be actually x.com by itself, and they could monetize through this. In this case, it's the extension doing it. But they can pay for it using this protocol over the internet, and there is no need of redirecting or anything. Like the application itself, it's able to pay using the Lightning Network, and then the video can start playing. What is really cool is because we are simply signaling like, listen, this is something that you can bring to this application and load. After I have paid, if I come here and open this node in Primal, this is the last one that I pay for. If I copy this link and open it here, because I already paid for it, here the video starts playing instantly. So just to make clear what is happening here, we are able to monetize content in third-party applications, and that third-party application is able to pay and consume that content without even knowing what the content is. So right now, there is only one way for me to monetize in Twitter, that it's Twitter needs to know who the user is and who the provider is, because they need to take the money from one of them and pay the other one. There is no way for me to create content, post it on Facebook, and then having some user in Twitter monetizing it or making me monetize it. Like, because there is no way for the money to flow from a Twitter user to a Facebook user. However, with the Lightning, because it's open, we can do this without any problem. Now, if we open another tab and we go to something like Agent 01, we can do this here. 1 second. So this was the first demo, like basically being able to upload content and being able to get paid from any kind of application. Now we're going to see another demo that it's... No, don't worry. Thank you very much. So this is another demo. This is a normal like ChatGPT-like interface. As you may know, ChatGPT now can browse the web, but the API of ChatGPT cannot. However, ChatGPT API can use tools. This is a ChatGPT interface that has access to a wallet and has a small change that allows it to load tools using this L402 protocol that has never seen before. So if I go to tools, L402.com, these are some of the tools that we created and are exposed with this protocol. So one of them, for example, is retrieving stock information. This tool has never seen by this agent before. For all it knows, like it's actually going to pay for a third-party application to use the services. So I can say something like, hi, can you give me some stock information about Apple, AAPL? ChatGPT now goes and says like, oh, sorry. I don't know if you can read this, but it's saying like, sorry, I don't have access to stock information. However, if I say like, go ahead and load this tool that it's exposed using our protocol, what the agent can do is going and fetching information about what this application is. In this case, it's stock retrieval information. Then it's able to create code to integrate with it. And then it says like, oh, and you request me for information about Apple, so here it is. And something that happened, if you notice, is that here, it actually had to pay 1 cent for consuming that. So for first time, we have a way to indicate a third-party application, listen, I am something that you can integrate with. and they are able to fetch information about us, like metadata, say like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to consume, and then even finalizing a payment and start consuming it. So these are like two different experiences that can be built using the same technology. How does it work under the hood? There is like two separate components. The first one is this custom URI that here was L402 :/ and then some kind of URL that it's signaling an application, hey, you can integrate with me. Please go and fetch metadata. This is really similar to when, I guess that you saw it in movies, when you are downloading a torrent or someone is downloading a torrent, you click a link and the browser doesn't open it. It basically goes for a third-party application to say like, oh, I don't know how to use magnet links, but this other application does, and gives it to it. So this is really, really similar. It's basically saying like, well, the browser doesn't know how to fetch the metadata, but other applications can because it's another protocol. And then this is tied to some extra step that is like, well, you can not only learn about a third-party application, that application is exposed in a way that you can pay and consume it. Now, I'm going to explain you how the L402 protocol works, focusing only on the payments part. The client asks the server, I need this resource, or I want you to process this request. The server checks if the user has credentials for this. In this case, the first time it has invalid credentials, so it doesn't have. And then it returns in the headers a tuple that is credentials and challenge. The challenge is a Lightning invoice, and the credentials are something called Macaroons. The client is able to get those credentials and complete the challenge, that in this case, it's paying the invoice. When they do that, the pre-image of the invoice and the credentials can be tied for creating valid credentials for the next request. So the next time that the client asks the server, sorry, can you process this? It returns the credentials that it was returned before with the client and instead with the server, and instead of a challenge, it returns a proof of payment that it's the pre-image of it. The server is able to verify that it is a valid payment because it has the pre-image tied to those credentials that has a Lightning invoice, and then it's able to process the request and serve the result. However, this is like really, really complicated. It ties a lot of stuff, and it's highly tied to things like Macaroons that most of the engineers don't know what it is or how to use it. It has this thing that it's like the proof of payment that the client has to do, that with the Lightning Network, it works really, really well because you have a pre-image, but for most of the systems, it just doesn't work like this. So we basically took this and simplified it. And we said like, okay, the client is going to ask the server like, sorry, can you access to, can you process this request? The server is going to say like, well, is any payment involved here? Did you already pay? Are you in the right tier? Do you have a valid account? If for any reason they need to pay, for example, it's an upgrade of another tier, or they already consumed their quota, or it's a one-time payment, what it's going to do is going to return the HTTP error code plus the payment details. Until now, the payment details, or in the first version, were on in headers. We are putting them in the body now, so it's really, really easy to start integrating this in your application. And we can do it like much, much extensively. Then the client can go unpaid. Paying is always an outbound process. It can be with Visa, it can be with MasterCard, it can be with Lightning. Like there is no need to tie these things together. And then once it has paid, I ask the same request to the server, and it doesn't have to prove anything. He already paid. The server needs to somehow be able to validate it, for example, with a webhook or checking if an invoice was paid for this user. The server verifies that the payment is completed and then serves the request. The main changes here that we saw was that there is no more any sense of a strong tying with Macaroons or credentials that come in the server response with the 402. The user needs to already have an account, or the system can be accountless, but there is no need to use Macaroons for this. Then it works with any payment method. Like we already extended it in such a way that they can even return payment links. So any machine that is able to pay with a Stripe can do it without any problem. And the third one, that is, I think, like one of the most important one, because it's the one that was limiting how this works under the hood, is this idea of the client doesn't need to provide proof of payment. Because that's something that in the Lightning Network looks really, really nice, but it really hurts scalability from other places. So today, I basically show you what I have been working on. This is just demos. They work in production. If someone wants to build a business on this, the technology is ready. If you like any of these demos and you want to take them for yourself, for example, like, oh, I think that content creators can finally be able to monetize everywhere, we are more than happy to help you. We are basically an infrastructure company, so we are not going to go in any vertical. If you want to learn more about this, there is L402.org that has some information. Then you can always email me. And if you want to be up to date, Discord is the main place where we share how things are going on and the next steps. Perfect. So thank you very much. Happy to take any questions. I laid out a lot of information, so like it can be questions at any level.
Hello. Thanks for the talk. As far as I understand, in order, for example, the example with Twitter, it requires some code injection to the page, right?
Yes, right now it does.
And in order to do other integrations on other platforms, would you be updating the browser extension to allow like the correct thing, or can the developers do it themselves?
Yes. So right now, how it works is there is this browser extension that basically manipulates it just says like in this page is anything that is L402 and then like load information about it. Right now, it's something that we are doing ourselves, but we are really happy if Nostr clients, for example, start implementing this. And I think that it's something that they may be happy of, because the moment that money starts flowing through them, they can get a cut and actually start monetizing. So there is no need for code injection if they implement it themselves. And it's an open protocol, so we are not seeing any money there. Like, there's nothing stopping them from doing it. And actually, I welcome them. The more people start using this, the more we can grow as an ecosystem.
And how would it work on mobile browsers, because they don't have extensions, most of them?
Sorry, how would it work in?
On mobile browsers.
On mobile, it will have to be the application will have to implement it. So something like Primal can do it themselves. Twitter, if they want, they can't. But yeah, like without an extension, we cannot do anything. However, that's a really good question. I think that we have a really good incentive for those platforms to implement themselves. Because for first time, what we're telling them is like, do you want to earn money? Like, people are already posting this. Do you want to monetize your users? And everyone gets happy. Like, the provider is making money. The person is getting the content that they were looking for, and the platform is like getting a cut in the middle. Yeah?
Yeah, maybe a last question. I do payments on the back end. I don't interface never with the front end. How will be different to use, for example, this instead of using directly the Lightning Network?
Excellent questions. So right now, you could already say, like, Jordi, this already happened in 2008. Now anyone can put a service on the internet and get paid. Here, what we are making it is automatically or friendly, machine friendly. So right now, it's true that you can do this, but for every time that you want to integrate with a third party, you need to see like how are they sending you that invoice. It's like a QR that it's there, or here it's directly like, okay, 402, let me check the body. Let me check what offers are there. Okay, I am interested in this one. How much does it cost? What payment systems it has? It can be on Base, it can be on Lightning, it can be on Stripe. Okay, I'm going to check Lightning, pay, and you can use it. So we are standardizing and making it easier to integrate with those third parties. And that's actually a really good question, because I think that that's the main reason why this technology didn't take off before. Because after all, if you already know what you're integrating with, beforehand you can create an account and put your credit card on file. Now with AI, it's one of the first times that we have this idea of, well, the integration may be able to write itself, as you saw with this stock-related data. And it's the first time that it's like, okay, having it like machine friendly, it actually brings some benefit. Excellent. So thank you very much. And if you have questions, I'm going to be around.
That was interesting. Thank you. Really cool.